And right off the top at 6, breaking news. The verdict watched by so many here in Hampton Roads is in. Stephen Rankin, a former Portsmouth police officer who killed a man suspected of shoplifting in a Walmart parking lot, convicted of voluntary manslaughter. The jury had a choice of verdicts and a choice of convictions. After nearly 2 full days of deliberations, that jury walked back in the courtroom at about 3:30 this afternoon.
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty of first-degree murder or second-degree murder, but guilty of voluntary manslaughter.
And right after that verdict, the court got right to work on a sentence. We have 2 crews at court all day long. We're going to start with 10 on your side, Deanna LeBlanc, who's been covering this trial since the very beginning. Deanna.
Yeah, Tom, very emotional reactions from both sides as that verdict was read. First, from William Chapman's mother, the victim in this case. She collapsed into her lap, put her head in her hands, and sobbed while family and friends around her consoled her. A stoic reaction on the side of Stephen Rankin while that sentence was being read. But right before the jury began to go into deliberations for sentencing, Rankin and his wife embraced. His wife then sobbing as well, overcome with emotion on her end as well. Now, as you mentioned, right now the jury is back behind closed doors debating the sentencing that Stephen Rankin could face. It is just a recommendation. The judge will decide that at a later date. But with this charge of voluntary manslaughter, we want to show you what the jury is deciding between. Now, this means that they ruled there was no premeditation and no malice in the killing of William Chapman, but obviously they did not agree with the defense's decision, or the defense's argument, that Rankin acted in self-defense, that he felt overpowered by William Chapman. Clearly, the jury unanimously disagreed with that. They can decide anywhere from 0 to 10 years behind bars for Stephen Rankin. They can make their recommendation, and then again the judge will decide it at a later date. But the bottom line is that Stephen Rankin was indicted on charges of first-degree murder last year. The jury did not agree with that, but did not think he acted solely in self-defense. They did find him guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Rankin himself took the stand earlier this evening when he was in a sentencing phase, trying to, obviously ask for a lighter sentence. His defense attorney agreed. Take a listen to what he said to the Chapman family.
I think this is a terrible tragedy. I wish it never happened. I wish none of this had ever occurred. I can't begin to fathom how much pain that family's going through after losing a loved one. I wish I could have done more than I did to try and keep him alive. I did everything that I could, and I wish that none of this had ever happened.
But that apology clearly not enough for Stephanie Morales, the Commonwealth's attorney, who in her own closing argument said that Rankin brought a gun to what was at best a fist fight. She's asking that the jury sentence him to the maximum of 10 years behind bars. We're still waiting on that answer from the jury. They are in the court as we speak. As soon as we have more information, we'll let you know. For now, live in Portsmouth, I'm Deanna LeBlanc. 10 on your side.
And thank you, Deanna. From the moments after William Chapman was shot last year, many in the community have been fired up about this case and Stephen Rankin's past as a police officer. So needless to say, a lot of reaction on this guilty verdict. We continue our team coverage now with 10 on your side's Andy Fox. Andy?
Yeah, there is international attention on this. We have a crew from the BBC here, and I spoke with well-known defense attorney Sonny Stallings, who's been watching this case, and he says it makes sense to give Rankin manslaughter. He said, and I'm quoting, "I never saw the first-degree murder. Rankin did not plan to do this. He just got himself into this situation. He pulled the gun. It was gross negligence. He did an unlawful act to kill, but did not mean to do it. And in fact, that is manslaughter." We also spoke with someone who has been watching this. She didn't take sides in this. She came in here impartial, understanding the anger on both sides, the concerns on both sides. And we got a statement from a lady named Joyce Gatling, and we want you to hear what she had to say when she heard the verdict.
I was very surprised, considering what has happened in the other states. I was very pleased for the family that they have found justice to an awful ending to their son's life, and that there's some conclusion, because this has been something that the city of Portsmouth has been talking about for some time now.
Right, and that is what Sally Chapman wanted. She wanted a conclusion. She did not want to have this end in some type of a hung jury. She wanted a finality, and tonight she has it. We are expecting her to come out here with her family, and they will talk to us here, and they will tell us exactly what they think about this, and they will be pleased. Now remember, the sentencing phase, this is preliminary. This will be a recommendation to the judge. Johnny Morrison will then be able to go underneath what they recommend, will not be able to go above, but they are now considering 0 to 10 years. And of course, this was the lesser charge if he were to be found guilty of anything. But that's the latest here in Portsmouth. In Portsmouth, Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
Andy, thank you very much. There's the bottom line now on the Rankin case. The former Portsmouth police officer convicted today of voluntary manslaughter. That sentencing phase Andy spoke about, the recommendation is underway as we speak. The jury is talking about this. It will ultimately be up to the judge to hand down that sentence at a later date. Remember, all of our coverage of the Rankin case can be found attached to today's story on wavy.com.